Hi, welcome to my Emergency on Demand for Fine Arts. The objectives: by viewing the module, which is a movie you'll be watching for homework, students will be able to describe the circumstances of the birth, education, and death of Pablo Picasso, identify the contributions of Pablo Picasso in the world of visual arts, and identify and describe some of the major works by Pablo Picasso in each of his stylistic periods. Our introduction question. Pablo Picasso said, "All children are artists. The problem is how to remain an artist once he or she grows up." We have to kind of think about what that might mean. The summary: using music, film footage, and still images to set the historical and cultural time period, this module offers an in-depth overview of the life and art of Pablo Picasso, 1881 to 1973. The Spanish painter, sculptor, graphic artist, and ceramist is considered one of the most dynamic and influential artists of the 20th century. The description. He's a Spanish painter, a sculptor, a graphic artist, and ceramist. We just read that part. Picasso's Parisian studio attracted the major figures of the avant-garde, including artists and writers such as Matisse, Braque, Apollinaire, and Gertrude Stein. By virtue of his vast energies and overwhelming power of invention, his Blue Period, Rose Period, development toward Cubism and modern abstraction, and then finally Surrealism, Picasso remains outstanding among the masters of the ages. So he had different periods of his work. They labeled one the Blue Period, and then one the Rose Period. And then he kind of moved into more of the abstraction. Pablo Picasso was born in Malaga, Spain in 1881. A precocious draftsman, Picasso was admitted to the advanced classes at the Royal Academy of Art in Barcelona at the age of 15, very young. After 1900, he spent much time in Paris, remaining there from 1904 to 1947 when he moved to the south of France. Picasso's artistic production is usually described in terms of a series of overlapping periods. In his Blue Period, 1901 to 1904, he depicted the world of the poor. Predominantly in tones of blue, these melancholy paintings are among the most popular artworks of the century. Canvases from Picasso's Rose Period, which he did from 1905 to 1906, are characterized by a lighter palette and great lyricism, with subject matter often drawn from circus life. Picasso was really kind of intrigued by circus performers that would come to town, and it was a big deal back then to have the circus come to town. And he was really, I think he even got to the point where he tried to dress and pretend he was a circus performer. He kind of followed them around and he did sketches and painted them. He was just fascinated with circus life. Next slide. Picasso's Parisian studio attracted the major figures of the avant-garde at this time, including Matisse, Braque, Apollinaire, and Gertrude Stein. And of course, Matisse and Braque you might have heard about. They actually began the Cubism era along with Picasso. In 1907, Picasso painted Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, a radical departure from the artistic ideas of the preceding ages, and now considered the most significant work in the development toward Cubism and modern abstraction. The painting heralded the first phase of Cubism, that was called analytic Cubism. In the synthetic phase of Cubism, after 1912, his forms became larger and more representational, and flat, bright decorative patterns replaced the earlier, more austere compositions. During both periods of Cubism, experiments by Picasso and others resulted in several new techniques, including collage. And then in the 1920s, he became fascinated with the primitive and the erotic, and the mythical mixture of half-man, half-bull, a favorite among surrealists. You might think of Salvador Dali here. He was a surrealist. The Melting of Time, the watches that were melting, he was known for that painting. So surrealism was sort of like a dream state. You kind of would paint what you might dream, things that might not make sense. His work drew heavily on classical themes and produced magnificent monumental nudes and monsters that were reminiscent of antiquity and rendered with a certain anguished irony. The artist sought to strengthen the emotional impact of his work and became preoccupied with the delineation of agony, and this next painting, in 1937, the bombing of the Spanish town of Guernica, impelled him to produce his second landmark painting, Guernica, which was an impassioned, allegorical condemnation of fascism and war. The profits he earned from a series of etchings and prints made in the 1930s went to help the Republican cause. This painting was kind of a mark in history in the art world, because it depicted the Spanish town being bombed. In his later years, Picasso turned to creations of fantasy and comic invention. He worked consistently in sculpture, ceramics, and in the graphic arts, producing thousands of superb drawings, illustrations, and stage designs. He painted brilliant variations on the works of other masters, including Delacroix, Velázquez, and continued to explore new aspects of his personal vision until his death. By virtue of his vast energies and overwhelming power of invention, Picasso remains outstanding among the masters of the ages. Closure question: what did Picasso depict during his blue period? And I'm going to bring you back to the slide, kind of remind you of this blue period that he had. I'll let you read that to yourself and see if you can find the answer. I hope you found it. Picasso's artistic production is usually described in terms of a series of overlapping periods. In his blue period, 1901 to 1904, he depicted the world of the poor. Predominantly in tones of blue, these melancholy paintings are among the most popular artworks of the century. So that was the answer to the closure question. Hopefully you were able to find that. He depicted the world of the poor in his blue period. You're going to be watching the movie called Pablo Picasso. It's 15 minutes long. You'll get to see wonderful paintings by him. That is your assignment. The name of the movie is Pablo Picasso. Enjoy the movie. If I assign any new homework, it will be in the Brain Honey assignment section. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.